Hi guys, welcome to Holistic Soul Sister. My name is Mandy Rose. I'm a holistic health coach, a spiritual mentor, and an astrologer. And I want to talk today about the book that I wrote, the 2021 Retrograde Journal. So today I'm actually going to share a little bit more about why I wrote this book, how to use the book, and then some fun facts about 2021 to keep in mind as we go throughout the year. So before we do that, I'm going to sage a little bit. Something I love to do before I work on my journal or touch my journal. I feel like this journal is such a special way for us to dive into who we are and to learn more about ourselves. The purpose of writing this journal really was from my own experience in 2020. I've always been into astrology since I was a child, really looked at my horoscope, learned so much about sun signs, and as I got older, I started realizing we have so much more to us than our sun sign. So if you're a Virgo, a Scorpio, a Cancer, it's something you probably look up in like the horoscope section and you think, okay, I guess that could apply to me, but I guess it could apply to everyone else, right? But we are actually born under all the planets and all the signs. So they actually affect us all in different and unique ways. And so I've always really been interested in that. And then as 2020 kind of came around, and it was the craziest astrological year to happen, something that astrologers have discussed and prepared for and talked about and hypothesized on what was gonna happen decades and decades ago. And it happened, and we made it through. Every single one of you guys, we made it through one of the craziest astrological years. But as it was unfolding, I was taking notes in my journal. I would read about the moon shifts. I would read about the retrogrades and what was going on in the sky, the conjunctions. I mean, these major energetic forces that were affecting us as a collective and on an individual level. So I would journal it every single month. I'd share a little bit with others. And then as I got towards the middle of 2020, I realized, damn, this could probably help a lot of people if I could take my journal and like replicate it for 2021 and add in some of the rituals I do, add in some of the crystals that I use, give you guys a really nice like calendar that explains kind of like the overview of the energies of the month. So that is how the 2021 Retrograde Journal was born, based off of my own journal. Also, I really wanted to help people who are unfamiliar with astrology have a better understanding of what all the sun signs mean, what all the moon cycles mean, what does a Mercury retrograde even mean, and why is it such a pop term, and just help you guys better understand what all the zodiac signs represent. Because like I said, we were all born under Capricorn. We were all born under Virgo. Like that constellation was in the sky at some point, at somewhere when you were born. So you do have it in your chart, and it is a part of who you are, but how it plays out and what role and lesson it's meant to teach you is unique to you. As I started to learn that, in 2020, let's fast forward to 2020, I was going through a lot of emotional stress in my life. I was going through the ending of a relationship, I was moving, I had a health crisis. I mean, pretty much all the major areas of my life were like very scattered for a number of years. And it wasn't until I learned more about astrology and my birth chart that it all started to make sense. And then 2020 came along, and 2020 was a crazy astrological year. Like, we all survived it. We all made it through. Congratulations. But that was the year that really made me realize, like, oh my gosh, we are all affected by the movement of these planets and by like the energies that they bring to us as a collective and as an individual. So I would journal this all the time. I would write down the moon cycles and how I felt. I would write down the rituals I was doing. I would write down different like planetary transitions and retrogrades when like Mercury went retrograde or when Saturn was going retrograde. I would write it all down in my journal and take a bunch of notes. And in the middle of 2020, I started realizing, damn, why am I not sharing more of this? This could help someone else. It could help someone make sense of the chaos going on in their life, because it's here to teach us something. It's here to help us like grow on a soul level and to become the higher version of ourselves. So I decided I would repurpose my journal, edit it, add more knowledge like the crystals and more moon rituals and energies of all the sun seasons, and I put them all together in what became the 2021 Retrograde Journal. I also started to realize that so many people are interested in astrology, but it's very confusing. It's so confusing. There's so many names and terminologies and like it doesn't make sense. So this book is designed to help you better understand all the sun signs, all the moon cycles, what it means when you're going through like a Mercury retrograde, what to do, what not to do. And so I hope by this time next year, it will all make so much more sense to you, and you'll have a better insight on how all these planets affect our lives. For those of you who already have it and you're really excited to dive in, I'm going to go through a little bit basic knowledge that I outlined in the beginning of the journal. And I couldn't write everything. Oh my gosh, if I was only planning on making this a 50-page journal, turn into 92 pages because I'm a Virgo and I just have so much knowledge about this topic, but I wanted to keep it really, really simple. But just know that every single event that is in this book, every moon, every sun season, every retrograde, and the energies of every month, I will be bringing to you in a full in-depth video in the Holistic Soul Sister private Facebook group. So if you are not part of our community yet, please make sure that you join our community and stay tuned for all those videos. So I guess we'll just dive right in. So when you open up the journal, there's gonna be a little bit of an intro. Then there's a welcome to 2021. This is, I think, some of the favorites that I have heard from people because it outlines what to expect in the year 2021. So we talk about not signing any major contracts, or that includes marriage, by the way, traveling or buying new technology on certain dates. We talk when's not a good time to end or start a relationship. We talk about the most exciting time of the year this year is expected to be between mid-May and mid-June, and I'll explain a little bit more why. And the next page is all about retrogrades. So I wanted to give a really quick example of what a retrograde is because writing it in here is very difficult, and explaining it more like in person or through a video might make more sense to you on what's actually happening astrologically out in the universe. So essentially you have a planet. So I'm gonna go with Saturn right here in my shirt. And this is an image of the universe, right? So Saturn usually goes around the Earth in like one direction all the time. Just like think of the sun and the moon. The sun rises and it sets. It rises and it sets every single day. We know where it's gonna rise and we know where it's gonna set, and it never goes backwards. The sun and the moon never retrograde. They always go in the same pattern every single day. Saturn and all the other planets, on the other hand, they will just be bopping along in the sky every day. We see that little star of Saturn and the little star of Mars, and it's going this way every single day. And then all of a sudden, one day we come outside and we're like, he didn't look like he moved forward. It looks like maybe he moved backwards a little bit. Saturn actually went this way in the sky. So a retrograde is actually an optical illusion. It doesn't actually go backwards. The planets always move in their same pattern, but to us on Earth, it looks like it's going backwards. And so retrogrades, retrograde, helps us reevaluate things in our life. So where Saturn went in the sky, he's now going backwards over that same part of the sky. And that part of the sky represents some part of our life. And that's what we need to stop and pause and reevaluate. So retrogrades are meant to slow us down, take a pause, everything, reevaluate, reassess, redetermine, redo, recommit. Retrogrades are for those. And each planet is our own life coach. And they're meant to teach us lessons in multiple areas of our life. And so that's why it's really important to know what retrogrades are happening, because what areas of our life do we need to stop and pause and reevaluate. So Saturn's moving along in the sky. All of a sudden he goes into a retrograde, he goes backwards over that part of the sky, and then eventually he'll stop, pause, go what we call stationary, where he stops, and then he goes direct. And direct is when he goes, oh, okay, let me get back on track now. And he goes back over that part of the sky, which is the third time he went over that part, right? Remember, he was going forwards like normal, then he went backwards the second time over that part of the sky, and then he has to go still forwards to get back on track, and now it's 3 times over that part of the sky. I don't want to get into that too much in this book, but if you notice in the calendars where I put things like, if you look, like Mercury retrograde begins, Mercury retrograde ends, and then I also put pre-shadow phase. The pre-shadow phase is where like Saturn was actually on his normal track. It's the part of the sky, the pre-shadow is the part of the sky where he was on track, and then he will later walk backwards through. So a pre-shadow means pay attention, because this part of the sky, what's happening in your life today, before the retrograde, is what you're gonna have to learn when the retrograde happens. So we'll talk a lot more about that as that comes up in the year, but that's what retrogrades are. I know this is a lot, so I'm gonna say that one more time. The planet goes across the sky. It then, from our eye, from Earth, goes backwards over that same part of the sky in our retrograde period, making us reevaluate. It goes this way, and now it's going backwards. Then it stops and pauses and gets back on track. He's like, oh crap, I've been going the wrong way. I reevaluated, I found some new things out, I learned some new things. Now I can continue on my journey in life. And it gives us a moment to pause, right? Because if in life we just kept powering ahead and doing this and doing that without pausing to reevaluate. So like if I wrote this book and I just wrote everything down on paper and I was like, okay, cool, I'm done writing, put it together, blah, 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 send it to the publisher, off it went. You guys would get a copy that like made no sense, had typos and errors all over it, and you'd be like, what the heck is this, right? So think of the retrograde period as the time that I took everything I wrote and edited, wrote notes, learned things, talked to somebody, and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense, redo this. And so I redo it. And that is the retrograde period, the time in our life where we have to take a step back, pause, and then go, what do I need to know now? And then the planet will go back forward and then continue on its journey. So I hope that makes sense. So retrograde periods are for introspection. They're to teach us lessons. They're to bring us to a pause. And every planet has a different lesson to teach us. So every planet is a life coach to us, just teaching us different things about different areas of our life. The sun never go retrograde, but the rest of the planets are all meant to be our personal life coaches in a certain area of our life. Mercury being the planet about communication, technology, the way that we hear, the way that we communicate, the way that we listen. That is Mercury's lessons to us. We have Venus, the planet of love and our values and our beliefs and luxury. So this is the part of our lives that Venus teaches us lessons in. And then we have Mars, which is the planet of passion and drive. It's our sex drive. It's our go-getter attitude. So this is the parts of our lives that Mars is teaching us lessons in. Saturn is Lord Karma. Oh, wherever Saturn is, whatever Saturn's doing, where Saturn is in your birth chart, it's so important because Saturn is the karmic Lord. He is the tough love dad, the one that's gonna teach you the lesson without giving you a lot of like fluffy love. He's just like, now you know, right? And he's the timekeeper. He's bringing us like lessons when it comes to illness and death and letting go and moving on. That is Saturn and his lessons to us. Jupiter, oh, I love Jupiter. Jupiter is all about our blessings and abundance. He's about our long distance travel and adventure and knowledge and wisdom and our education. He brings us like all the good luck. So he teaches us lessons on like our money and on our education system and things like that. And then we have the outer planets. They're a little further away from Earth. We have Uranus. He is sudden, jarring changes. If it is not meant for you and it is not meant to be in your life, Uranus will show up and go poof, 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 blow it up. Like blow shit up energy. Lightning bolts, like that is Uranus. And then you have Neptune, which is all about spirituality. It's the illusions, it's our dreams, he teaches us lessons on what we're not seeing clearly. Like when we believe something, but it's not true, Neptune will help us reveal the truth. So that's really cool. And then we have Pluto. Pluto is the planet of massive transformation, massive change. And Pluto doesn't affect us a whole lot on an individual level, but more so on like a collective level. So hopefully that helps make sense a little bit on all of that. So when these planets go retrograde, they're trying to teach us something. So that's why it's so important to pay attention when there's a retrograde going on. And so when you guys go through the journal and you get to like a retrograde, for instance, if you're watching this at the beginning of the year, we have a Uranus retrograde already occurring. It's been going on since August of 2020. And it will end on the 14th of January. So I explained a little bit, what is Uranus retrograde? What does it mean? What sign it's in also matters, okay? So where is it? So it's in Taurus right now. And Taurus is the bull, right? Taurus is the bull. And these are all things you're gonna learn as you go through the journal. Taurus is our finances. It represents our money. It represents agriculture. It's like that earth-grounded energy, the lavish, luxurious life. So for Uranus, for instance, the planet of blow shit up, lightning bolt changes, massive changes, like doing it like this, like boom, today to tomorrow, this is gonna be stripped from you, right? So you have this planet in the sign of Taurus, which is finances, agriculture, luxury things. You see like why it's important to know that this is happening, because if something happens in today's society with agriculture, like from today to tomorrow, food shortage. Today to tomorrow, we could have a financial crisis, right? That's why we need to know if Uranus is retrograde, if he's direct, what sign is he in, like where's the story unfolding? So that's what you're gonna read about in here. I also put the lesson that we're meant to learn during this retrograde. So that's something you can keep in mind if this happens to you or it's impacting your life. You don't have to fret and go, why is this happening to me, right? No, this is why it's happening, because this planet is here to teach you a lesson right now. I also talk about what to expect during a retrograde. Perfect time. There's perfect time to do things during a retrograde. A lot of them, like I said, are reassessing, reevaluating, relearning, redoing, everything. And so I explain that in here as well. And then I have the journal prompts. So if you don't have enough room at the end of every single month, there is an extra page for you to go through and add more journal prompts, or you can do it in your own personal journal. I also put the do's and don'ts, if you can see that, the do's and don'ts during the retrograde, because that's really, really important too. Like for instance, as said, during a Venus retrograde, you don't want to get married, because you definitely don't want a Venus retrograde in your birth chart, your marriage birth chart, right? All things that begin have their own individual birth charts. So if you're building a business, if you're starting a relationship, you're starting a marriage, anything with contracts, that has a birth chart, right? So you don't want a Venus retrograde in your marriage birth chart. And then also like Mercury retrogrades, you'll read in here, you want to back up, you do want to back up your technology. You do want to double check travel plans. You don't really want to travel during a Mercury retrograde. And you'll learn so much more about why as you guys go through this book. So that's about the retrogrades. Next up, you'll notice the page about the moon. We talk about the new moon and the full moon. New moons are for new beginnings, fresh new starts, starting of new ideas and new concepts. So a new moon is like, let's say I'm on Earth right here. Here's the moon, here's the sun. They're what we call conjunct in astrology, when they're on top of each other, when they're touching each other in the sky. And because the sun is behind the moon, we can't see any part of the moon. Like there's no light hitting the moon. It's when the moon's at its darkest. New moons represent when we're at our lowest lows. It's like hitting rock bottom and all we have to do is go up. So that's what new moons are all about. So when they happen, we have to start something new in our life. And depending on what zodiac sign that moon is in, when it's new, helps us say this part of our life is what we need to focus on starting new. So the first new moon of the year on the 13th of January is in Capricorn. You'll learn about it in here, that Capricorn is all about career and our success and our goals and our ambition. So the first new moon is all about getting on track with our resolutions, getting on track with our business adventures and our careers. So it's really, really exciting. That's what new moons mean. Full moons are when the moon is here and the sun is here and it's shining its full light onto the moon. And we just see the moon beautiful and bright and illuminated, and it's at its max peak. Full moons are about culminations, like the reaping of the rewards of everything we did as that moon was building and building up. And when it's at its highest point, all it can do now is shed, let go, become smaller, shed its light, release and let go. So full moons are all about letting go. And what do we need to let go? You'll learn about it every single month, depending on what zodiac sign it's in. So that's what full moons mean. Then you will see we do sun signs. Sun signs just mean that we are in Capricorn season. If you're watching this at the beginning of the year, we're in Capricorn season. All babies born at this time of year will have a Capricorn sun. But because every single one of us was born when Capricorn existed in the sky somewhere, we all have Capricorn energy within us. Until Capricorn stars burn out and fizzle, Every single human on planet Earth will be born with Capricorn somewhere in their birth chart, somewhere in their DNA, somewhere downloaded into them in the cosmos at birth. So it's really important for us to know what sun sign is happening because we can harness that energy. Like now that it's Capricorn season, we can harness that energy of like getting stuff done and being determined and accomplishing our goals. Like now's the best time to do it, which is kind of perfect for New Year's resolutions, right? So that's why I wanted to add sun signs. When I started this journal, I really was only going to do retrogrades, but I realized the moon cycles are so important and the sun signs as well. So that is kind of the chapters that you will find in this book. You will also notice at the beginning of every single month, I do a really brief overview of what to expect, the overview of the energy of the month, and then also a little calendar. Also at the bottom, I put, what do you want to improve in your life this month? And I just put that there because I think it's really important for us to focus on little things every single month. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys when you open it up and you fill out your journal prompts. If you feel like there's not enough room, at the end of every single month, there's a blank sheet for you to continue entering your journal entry, or you can go ahead and put it in your own journal. Also, I wanted to share with you guys, for every new moon and full moon, I added a ritual. I think it's really important for us to take a pause at the new moon and the full moon because the moon represents our feminine energies. It represents the part of us that is our emotions and our intuition. And so connecting with the moon, like often as women, we cycle with the moon cycling. So it's important to take a pause. And if your ritual is just 5 minutes, if it's a whole half an hour, if it's an hour, it needs to be special for you. And you can just take a pause, and I will share a video in this group on my personal moon ritual. Hopefully it will inspire you. Make it your own. Take what you like from it. I also added the crystals. If you don't have all the crystals, if you only have some of them, if you have none of them, it's totally fine. I just put them there in case you had them and you wanted to use it in your ritual or carry it around with you on that specific day. Put it in your pocket, put it in your bra, put it in your purse, put it on your desk. Those are simple things you can do with those crystals to kind of help you download that moon vibe, the energy that that moon is bringing us. So please share in the group what your ritual is, what it looks like. Share a picture. I will be doing the same every single month. The only other thing I want to share is a little bit about an overview of 2021. I think this will really help you guys better understand what's to come in the astrology for the year. So I took some notes real quick. To better explain what is going on astrologically, we have to kind of go back to 2020. The major players in 2020 were Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. And if you guys kind of remember, Saturn was the planet of karma. We definitely felt that in 2020. And Jupiter, which is luck and abundance. However, it also expands whatever energy it's around. So he was hanging out with Saturn, so he was kind of vibing off of Saturn and making Saturn's karma just even bigger. And then you have Pluto. Massive transformation, like here to just, he's not going to ask your permission, he's just going to transform things and force you to let go. And boy did we feel that in 2020. So to have these 3 planets all hanging out in the sky together, they were bumping into each other, then backed away, then bumped into each other, then backed away, and then bumped into each other a third and final time. And now they're all on their own path, they've all moved on in the sky, they're all just going their own separate way. But the 3 times, and if you guys know, in most religions, 3 is a really special number. So for us to have 3 planets meet 3 times in 2020 was a really big deal. So now, like I said, everyone's moved on. Saturn moved into Aquarius, Jupiter moved into Aquarius, Pluto's kind of dragging behind and still hanging out back in Capricorn, but the other 2 planets have moved on and moved forward. That was the Great Conjunction, the Christmas star. And this is huge because these 2 planets met in the sky at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And when planets meet or move into the new zodiac sign at 0 degrees, that means a start, a beginning, a fresh new something going on in our lives. And so now we are in this age of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about humanity, doing things for the collective. It's not worth doing unless it benefits everyone. That is Aquarius vibes. Capricorn vibes, which we've been living in for 200 years, is, like I said, the goat. Get shit done. Be the best. Be number one. Have all the things. Do all the things, right? Like, Capricorn energy is work 80 hours a week so you can have the big house. Be an Instagram influencer because you can get 1 million followers. Climb over everyone at work to get that promotion so that you're the top dog. That's Capricorn energy, and we have seen that in society for 200 years, and we are flat out sick of it. We are so over it. We are sick of it. We are done with it. And now we're in the age of Aquarius, which, like I said, is humanitarian, doing things for the greater good of everyone, making people's lives better, inventing things, communicating things. And Aquarius, he's the weirdo. He's the one that's not afraid to talk about taboo subjects. He's not afraid to do things outside of the societal norms because he's a rebel. He wants to do it his way. He's going to help society move forward because he does things different and exposes things. And this is what's going to happen over the next 200 years. We're going to think with our brains. We're going to communicate faster. We're going to have inventions in technology. And we're going to do things that benefit humanity as a whole. And this is really, really exciting. So to have our karmic planet, Saturn, karma, and Jupiter, abundance and luck, in this sign really shows us that this is going to be a highlight. That's especially going to be happening, but mostly beginning in 2021. Also, we have a Mercury retrograde happening in Aquarius. So that's a really big deal as well, because Mercury is going to reevaluate the communication, it's the technology. It's going to do a retrograde in Aquarius while Jupiter and Saturn are also hanging out there. So this is a really big deal. And this happens while the sun and the moon are also in Aquarius. So when this retrograde comes up, which is the first retrograde of the year at the end of January, we are going to have some really big lessons going on. So prepare for that in February. All the Mercury retrogrades happening this year are in air signs, which is all about intellectualism, our brain, how we use our brain, how we communicate, how we think, new ideas, new concepts. So that's going to be a real big focus of this year. This year we have 2 full moons in Aquarius as well. Also very rare. Usually every single month we have a full moon in a new sign. So full moon in Leo, full moon in Virgo, full moon in Scorpio, like it goes through the zodiac. But of course, because Aquarius is highlighted this year, we have 2 full moons in Aquarius back to back, which is really showing us like we got to let go. Full moon's about release, full moon's about letting go. We get 2 opportunities in the summer to really let go of the things that we don't do for humanity, the things that we don't do for society, the things that we don't do for technology. So, and almost every planet is going retrograde this year except for Mars, which is amazing because Mars retrograde really messed us up in 2020. So I'm glad he's going to sit this year out. Mars is, like I said, passion, aggression, sex drive, our desires, and he was doing a retrograde in this fiery sign of Aries, and that's why we had a lot of riots and aggressiveness and outbursts and people being violent. So I'm glad that Mars is sitting this one out this year, so that's really exciting. So last year we had, like I said, the 3 planets doing 3 conjunctions throughout 2020. So what's happening this year that's special about the 3 number is that Saturn and Uranus are going to be doing a square. So squares in astrology, when planets are making a square to each other in the sky, it's not pleasant. They're having a very hard interaction, a hard conversation, nothing that really is feeling well or feeling good to us. So Saturn and Uranus, Saturn being the planet of karma, Uranus being the planet of like sudden jolting change, do things like this, lightning bolt change, they are going to be having a square 3 times this year. So that is karmic lessons, discipline, structure, having a conversation with the planet Uranus in Taurus, finances, agriculture, luxury things, values, making a tough conversation. So we are going to expect 3 times this year that we're going to have financial hiccups, agricultural hiccups, massive change, and that's going to happen January, June, and in December. And we'll talk more about that as that comes up, but just know that those are the key players this year. Saturn and Uranus. Mars is playing a little bit into it, but those are the big planet players this year. I just want to kind of explain to you guys why it's so important to know your own personal birth chart, because these planets are having a conversation. It's like watching a play happen in the sky today, and it's affecting every single person. But when you know your own personal birth chart, you know what area of your life it's affecting. So for me, Aquarius, like I said, Aquarius is like the main theme this year, with the Lord of Karma and Jupiter, luck and abundance, and Mercury is going to be there, and all these planets are going to hang out in Aquarius. You need to know where Aquarius is in your chart because that is where you're going to notice over the next 3 years major changes happening in your life. For me, it's in my 4th house of home and family. So for me, I know that home and stability and structure and things with my family are going to be really prominent over the next 3 years, if not even the next 30 years. So if you don't know this, contact me. We can do a full birth chart reading, or we can even just do like a mini reading where we can just kind of look at 2021 and see like what areas of your life are going to be highlighted and what you can expect. So let me know if you're interested in that, and it will really help you with the journal over the year and help you kind of make more sense of what's going on for every single person. And if you'd like to share any of your journal prompts with our group, please do. I love the women in this group because we love to share and we love to be raw. If you've ever been to one of my moon circles, you know that we do not hold back on our emotions. We do not hold back on any parts of our lives that are amazing or crappy, because we're all here to learn lessons and we can learn from each other. So please don't feel shy about sharing any of your journal prompts. This is a really, really safe group. That's why I have it as a private group. So I really hope you enjoy this journal. If you have any more questions, please feel free to message me, contact me, and if you post in the group anything, your ritual, your journal prompts, questions, anything that you'd like to share about astrology, go ahead and use the hashtag 2021journal. That way other people can search that hashtag and find the questions and the answers to the questions, and we can all share everything. So thank you guys so much. Please let me know how this journal impacts you. It would mean the world to me. This started out as just a journal that I used in 2020 that I made for myself, that I used to learn and get through the chaos in my life. And I really wanted to formulate it and share it with you and everyone that it could benefit. So it's amazing to see it come to life. Let me know how it impacts you. And I can't wait to chat with you guys more in the Holistic Soul Sister Facebook group.